Today on the 01581 Let's Talk, a conversation with our Town Manager Kristi Williams and an update to kick off the school year with Superintendent Amber Bock. You're going to enjoy this show. Hi, and welcome back to the 01581 Let's Talk. I'm welcomed by our regular returning guest, Kristi Williams, our Town Manager. Hi, Kristi.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. So what do you have for our audience today? What's going on?
So I just wanted to follow up on the press releases that we put out last week when we had the 9 asylum-seeking families come to Westboro. So on August 4th, for folks who don't know, we were alerted that there were 9 families that were located in Westboro, and they didn't have any supports. So when we say that, we know that the state has located other families, homeless families in our community, but they've had support from an on-site provider. So the state contracts with someone to really help them through all of the processes, making sure that they're meeting their basic needs.
Sure.
On August 4th, these 9 families didn't have that in place.
And they were placed here by the state, wasn't they just sort of found Westboro?
Right.
They were intentionally, yes. Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's an important point, that, the state, we have a law in Massachusetts for a right to shelter state. So the state's required to shelter any families with children and any pregnant women. And so, they're placing these folks all over the state. And it really is, a lot of folks, a lot of individuals that we're talking about. And actually, Maura Healey, our governor, did declare a state of emergency about a week and a half ago related to this crisis, really.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
just trying to
Yeah,
help
it is a
these
crisis.
people coming
Yep.
and really finding, all of the supports that they need.
Right.
So.
And that right to shelter is, I believe it's almost like within 24 to 48 hours of an individual, like you said, a family or a pregnant woman presenting to whatever state agency that they present to. And so they are required to provide them with shelter, but that doesn't necessarily mean that shelter comes with support. So when we think about supports, right, it's basics like food, it's transportation, it's additional clothing, or toiletries, what have you.
Right.
So for the public to understand, some of those supports, some of these families, and maybe you're going to get into it, these 9 families were placed here. There were some supports around some food, but beyond that, it was sort of like,
Right.
here you are, you have a roof over your head.
Right.
For a very short period of time with a lot of unknowns.
Right.
Go
So
ahead.
it appears that the initial placement period can be short, and then they'll try to extend placements, for longer periods of time.
Sure.
I think it's important for people to understand the state does pay for the sheltering. They also pay for meals. So the folks in our community are receiving lunch and dinner through the state. Also important is, the town has not paid has not paid for any of the things that we've provided for them. So I should back up. We have paid, but we have identified the ability to get reimbursed for the things
Right.
that we have
Right.
provided.
Right.
So we did reach out to the community, and we did ask for very specific kind of limited donations. I think we're really aware that there's these nonprofits and just individuals in general in Westboro that we know will be so helpful and supportive, but we also know that those groups and individuals are supporting people already.
Right.
And so trying to really be responsible about what the ask is.
Sure. And so the town came up with some very specific requests. There was sort of the initial request, and there was the initial request. Kind of some people were kind of involved in I'll say behind the scenes, because it was an emergent need that was fulfilled. Then there was an additional request, and then there was sort of, I guess, the second public request. And so where do things stand now?
So right now, I don't think that we don't have any other donations that we're requesting at this time.
Okay.
Our last sort of donation drive was last Thursday, where we received lots of clothing, and we were able to distribute that on Friday, which was wonderful.
Great.
I think trying to understand sort of the needs as we go into the fall, cold weather clothing,
Sure.
and certainly schools. At this point, we are not sure if any children, school-age children with them will enroll in school. We're still waiting for guidance from the state.
Sure. And that really is a matter of with their longer-term placement right here in the community. Obviously, if they're here, they have to be enrolled in school. That is the law.
Exactly.
Okay. So there's sort of these individuals who are in kind of very temporary housing, and then there's the Sharp building, so that folks may have heard about, which is over by the former state hospital grounds.
Yeah, so we found out, I think in the spring, that the state was going to be transitioning one of their buildings on the former state hospital, so the Sharp building.
Of which we don't own.
We do not own.
This is a state building.
Correct.
We have no control over it. It is theirs to do what they want with it.
Right.
Yep.
Into an emergency assistance shelter. And so they committed at the very beginning that it would be 20 families. Given the state of emergency, we've asked many times, confirming that it's 20 families. We have had confirmation as recently as Thursday that we should expect 20 families. So, and that those families will be supported by an on-site provider. So, the opening date has been in August, so we expected it to open at the end of this month, but now they're targeting October. So, so we've updated our FAQ, which is on our website, if people have questions about that specific shelter. And so, we're just really working with the state. Very grateful to all of the town employees that responded, and helping these new families have helped previous families, and then our legislative delegation has been really supportive in helping us connect.
Yeah, so I think this is, from my lens as a select board member, and you and I have had a couple conversations about this, many actually, and I guess it's important, I think, for the public to understand that this is, I don't want to equate it to COVID level crisis. I think that would be, excuse me, an overstatement at this point, but the involvement of our town staff, as Kristi had just said, so that's police, fire, public health, the administrative side that Kristi handles, and just overall, certainly schools we just talked about, supportive services have all been very involved, and this is consuming a fair amount of time. I also want to thank the delegation, as you had said, for their involvement as well. I think everyone understands. I mean, this is at a crisis level, and with that, it's not, everything doesn't get sort of tied with a nice, neat bow on it. Like, here it is, and this is how it's going to work. So, there's a bit of creativity that has to happen, and in order to kind of meet the basic needs. So, appreciate that update. So no other needs from the community needed at this point. If there are, then those communications would come out of your office, right?
Yep, and we are working closely with our Human Service Alliance organizations too. So, they've been helpful. But at this point, we're not collecting anything additional. As the families are here longer and longer, they're set up with additional benefits through the state. So.
Sure. Okay, so hopefully they become more sufficient, self-sufficient, and kind of can do what they need to do. Good. Okay. Good. Anything else?
I think that's
all right. Great. Well, listen, before we go, you get your first official 01581 permanent sticker. So
thank you.
Wherever you put it, it's permanent. So, so thank you. You don't have to wear it every time.
Okay.
But, all right. So,
thank you. These are great.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anyway, thanks so much, Kristi. We'll see you on next week. All right. Thanks. We'll be right back with Superintendent Amber Bock. Hi, and welcome back to the 01581. As mentioned earlier, I'm joined by our Superintendent, Amber Bock. Amber, welcome.
Good morning. Here we are, a week before school.
I know. Thank you so much for being a guest on the 01581.
Thank you. I'm going to start with a gift.
Okay.
You know, it's for you, Shelby. Starting this show is pretty impressive, but I'm just giving you a little.
Do I get to open it now?
Yes, you should. You should open it so that it's just a little something. It's from our store, the Sugar Shack.
Oh,
but until you make your own individual mugs, this is one of the products we sell is Westboro.
We're going to put that right there.
Products. Yeah, so I brought you two so you can swap them out with your other ones.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, they're fun, and so there you go.
There we go.
So that's a little gift for you to throw in the rotation.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, the store's had a great summer going to the farmers market and stuff. So
well, there's always something new there. So if you haven't been to the Sugar Shack, right on East Main Street. Time to stop in and
Definitely.
Sugar up your kids before
I got to
school.
do my marketing. That's exactly right.
All right. So thank you so much. These are wonderful, and I will use them.
Yeah,
they will be featured
enjoy
on
'em.
future
I
editions
love
of the
that.
L1581.
I love it.
So the start of school.
Yeah, so
All
we're
right.
ready. We're, like 10 days out. So kids are returning on the 30th and faculty is getting ready. And so it's fun just to be here with you and talk about what's coming up ahead. So,
Yeah, excellent. So what are you excited about? Does the new year bring? I know it brings excitement for the kids and
Yeah,
parents.
yeah.
Maybe just because summer's over. Just kidding. Love having the kids at home.
Yeah.
No, what are you excited about?
I'm always excited for the start of school. I mean, I think one of the magical things about schools and one of the things that makes it exciting is we create that newness feeling while we keep that continuity. And that's a big part of what's exciting about the year ahead. And every year we have some goals. So this year I'm really excited. One, you're helping me with it right now by having me on here, which is just increasing our flow of information to parents and really looking at communication, not just with families, but also with students and with the community. So we're starting a new tool that we're using, a platform called Parent Square, which does two-way communications, both from the classroom level and at the district level, which we think is going to be very exciting. Our friends in Algonquin, Northborough, Southborough used it last year, really loved it. So we're excited about that. That's been a popular change that we're just launching this week. I'm copying you and starting my own show so that I can
Wow.
highlight what's going on.
Flattery is
around
the highest form, right?
I'm telling you.
Copying is the highest form of flattery. I love it. Good.
Yeah,
Okay,
so we're going to do Superintendent Spotlight, and our
great.
goal there is really to pull the classroom instruction up close, because I think we do a lot with fine arts and sports, and we highlight those things, but this is a chance for us to really look at, so what's going on the ground with curriculum.
Oh,
so I'm
awesome.
really excited to do that.
Great.
I think something that's invisible sometimes to people that we're excited about is we're really working on our extended leadership team, pulling from the talents of our department heads and curriculum coordinators to have more engaged coaching in the classroom with their teams of teachers. That's very exciting for the year ahead. And we actually had a retreat of planning with them this summer,
great.
which was really fun. So
Excellent.
we do what we do all year with kids with ourselves in the summer. We did team building and planning, and so that was very exciting. So I'm excited about that.
Right. So while lots of folks are relaxing, there's a lot of work going on during the summer to get ready.
Yeah, I don't think people have any idea how crazy busy it is up at central office in the summer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really both exciting. You never quite know what the year's going to hold. So, but it's always busy. Yeah.
So challenges. There's always challenges, right,
Yeah.
that come up
Yeah.
every year. Some you can anticipate, and others you just have to adjust to on the fly. Anything that you're sort of anticipating and how you're addressing that early on.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think one of the things we're working on and thinking about is summer's a time when I reflect and teachers and faculty, we step back and we do come together and say, like, what's coming up in the year ahead for us that's going to be harder? And I have something that I think is exciting to think about is that I do a lot of reading and I bring that to faculty trainings and things. And so I was reading a lot of Brene Brown's work this summer, and I really find her both inspiring and thoughtful. And so she does this whole thing on trust. And so it is both a springboard for what I'm excited about, communication, because you really have to build trust every year with all new families and with students and relationships and with our faculty. And I think it's also a challenge because I think trust gets fragmented when people don't have opportunities for personal connections or clear information. So I think it's always a challenge to be able to find a way to and I love that she talks about the fact like trust is a marble jar. You should watch this bit she does. It's really good. It's a TED Talk.
Okay.
But what I love about it is she talks about trust is built from small moments. And so it's challenging to like pull all those small moments because they have highs and lows, right?
Right. Well, and I mean, whether it's trust with a teacher, a team, I mean, from the lens of a parent, right? I mean, there's so many different people and those are all individuals. You're one person over how many people are in the district under your charge?
720-ish for faculty.
So your ability to build trust in those moments as a superintendent is limited, and it's certainly impactful, whether it be positive or negative to the recipient, right? So yeah, absolutely.
And we also have trust with the community. They need to trust that we're good stewards of the finances. They need to trust that what they hear that we're doing good work on the ground. And so for me, it's both a part of the excitement of the year ahead, but also the challenge is just how hard that is to always keep those relationships healthy and close. Another challenge we'll have is really looking at busing will continue to be difficult, and I think something that we're hoping will stabilize a little bit this year. It was challenging last year. Our bus routes are a little more tight this fall, so we'll see how those run. I'm also kind of excited about the fact that I feel like for the first time in a while I'm not doing any major construction, and that we have a little stability. I think one of the other pieces, we just have a lot of new teachers and new families, and so the challenge is keeping continuity of practice and talent while you're also building in over 40 new people across the district. And that's a small number for us this year, to be around 40 new faculty and staff. That's including, paraeducators, faculty, and different levels. And hundreds of new kids. I don't think people realize how
just
the
normal
enrollment
cycle
is always busy.
So
maintaining excellence while you do that is really both fun and challenging.
Well, certainly if someone wants to be in a dynamic environment, education is one.
It is.
Right?
It's always fun, yes.
So are there any particular areas of focus, Amber, that you want to kind of highlight, whether it's at the professional level, your staff level, or for families that?
Oh, that's great. First, I want to talk about connections because I think something that we really love is the schools are supposed to plug into the community and the schools are intertwined. And I think something that I'm excited about is as we look at building connections, I think people don't always realize, and that's why doing the show and coming here with you is so important. We have over 250 students hitting the ground tomorrow for Rangers Give Back, and they'll be all over the community doing service project work, and from like helping rake leaves at someone's house to working at the senior center to doing projects. We also gave over the Mr. WHS, which is a end of year event, which is really amazing, gave $20,000 to the food pantry.
Goosebumps.
Yeah,
wow,
I mean,
that's
it's pretty amazing.
20,000.
Yeah.
$20,000.
Just in one night of donation collection from the event. And we had people raise money for mental health this year and give to Westboro Connects. We had just so many wonderful events that I think are just part of the quality of student that we have and the community commitment. We're going to start the fall with a big food drive for the pantry because they're serving over, I think, 160 families. So we'll be lifting our participation in that. So those are connections that I think are very exciting. I also think we're always looking for opportunities to say, like, fine arts and athletics are very visible in the community, but we have amazing a cappella groups that you can help us plug into the community, and quartets and musical groups and the marching band. Like, they're everywhere, and it's exciting. But people can come to those events. Like, the theater productions are really enjoyable. So you can look on our website and see those. Those are open and free to the public, and the athletics as well, like Under the Lights events are really fun. All about connecting in the community. And I always put up here, we always say we leave the walking lights on the track for the community. And we know, because we can always look at the cameras by month to see that that track is accessed by our whole community to enjoy it. And so I think as you look at community connections, we welcome having people do that and to come down to the events and just see what's going on at the high school.
Absolutely. It's these, whether it's arts or athletics, it's a great opportunity for all of our community members to really, get involved and appreciate the great community spirit that exists at the various schools. A lot of these we kind of think about maybe high school, but I know we have grandparents that are out there enjoying the little ones as well.
I think people are shocked at how good the things are when you come to the theater. And again, our fine arts are so amazing, but the quality of instrumental and voice talent we have is amazing. We actually turn out a lot of lifelong participants in fine arts, which is very impressive.
Sure. And award-winning too. So,
I know. I kind of feel like
right?
It's pretty impressive, but it's not us, it's the kids. But we do our small part with families to raise them. So it's kind of exciting.
So you talked about kind of communication as a key kind of cornerstone for an area of focus. But as parents look forward, myself included, what sort of tips do you have for families to get off to the right start for their children and students?
I'm always going to take the chance to talk to parents and to plug into the idea that even though you've done it multiple years, preparing for school is the thing you do that gets your child off to a good start, even if it's high school.
Sure.
You know, I think there's certainly preparation at major school transitions, but each year one of the things you need to do is kind of like get your mindset. We do this as adults. You think about what you do at different work transitions. So, you know, one of the things we talk about is you can't say enough about sleep. Okay, like the data on sleep is shockingly strong that no one's getting enough sleep, ourselves included, and that the impacts on that on mental health and focus and joy all are impacted by sleep cycles. So slowly, it's good that they had a freedom of sleep in the summer, and then you want to slowly start rolling that back, like whether they like it or not. Do that hard parenting work and drag the kid out of bed earlier because you've got to reset their body clock. And so I think if you want to get off to a good start,
reset my clock.
I know, I'm the same way. Like I come in later in the summer too, and so I've just started doing this tip that I'm sharing.
Sure.
Schedules and routines. Like you want to start to kind of think a little bit about lunch planning and who's doing drop off and are they going to ride the bus and what are the organizations, what are the things you've got your kids plugged into for the year and how is it going to build into the schedule. You lower anxiety when you help kids know, like, I'll be driving you to that to this year, or we're going to partner you with a friend. Or, so getting your kids organized and also not overscheduling them is always a tip we also give. I also think if your child's moving a school or even just anxious about school transition from grade to grade, get up there and visit, walk around, go to the open door days. The high school just did a popsicle afternoon.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's great.
And they had a great turnout because
that's awesome.
Kids want the chance to get up there and just kind of like get settled and break the ice and get in and see some friends and build those connections. So really encourage you to take all those opportunities to do that and just kind of build those routines. And I think the last one is hard because we're all human. But you really need to keep adult conversations away from your children because all of us have the human nature of you're worried about their schedule, you think they got a teacher that won't be their favorite, you think they didn't end up with enough friends in their class. Like we can build that list, and those are true and real anxieties. They are authentic and they do have impact. But you need to talk about those away from your children so that they're not hearing those discussions. I think our best parenting comes from being able to separate that a little bit sometimes and bring positive expectations to them, which is all these challenges and all the things you face are what make you resilient and capable. So those are some of the tips that I think work really, really well for START. And really, it's just a matter of you being excited about the start of the year, too.
Well, I know that in our family, we're transitioning to Gibbons. And so I love the fact, and you mentioned open door days, all the schools hold them, which is awesome. So the kids and parents get to go and kind of, get a lay of the land. And when you go to Gibbons, I know in our family, the most exciting thing, forget the teachers, God love them, we love them, is the locker. It's the locker, right?
Totally
so we've been practicing with our own combination lock this summer, and so to reduce some of that, maybe kind of early stress. But back in my day, I've been telling Grayson that we just sort of had a locker. Now it's a thing.
It is a thing.
They actually said, did you know they sell things to decorate lockers?
Oh, yes. I've looked in many lockers. They are like a little bedroom in there.
Yeah. I was like, is this like a mini dollhouse thing?
What's
it?
Very
like
funny,
a little
actually.
like carpet. I was like, okay, we're not getting a carpet. That was my thing. I was like, boots go on the bottom, enough, right? And of course,
it's a thing. It really is.
I got a few eye rolls at that, but that's
I go to Open Door Day over at Gibbons because it's actually really fun because that is what they're all doing. Is like every adult is in the hallway. Walking and helping kids and be like, you got it, good job, high five, and then just like close it and do it again. So it really is fun, and it's a real thing. I mean, I think that's what makes school magical. Like for us, we've watched thousands of kids get caught up in opening their locker, and what I love about this is, for me, it's still really magical.
Right. No, it is. I remember like that was just cool. You knew you had left,
made it.
Right. You had left some smaller grades behind. So first week, I was looking at this next bullet point here. And and I probably have not done well on a few of these. So.
You know, it's funny because
What happened today? Tell me all about it.
there's like, it's human nature. I mean, I did the same thing to my two kids where they come through the door and you start grilling them. And I'm thinking, I even find this when I come home after work to my husband Neil, where I'm like, I just need a little more transition time than sometimes he builds in. And he'll start asking about my day. And he's like, you're very wound up, you know.
Yeah,
and
just
I'm
give me a
like, you
moment.
just need some time. And I think
And so do our
because
kids, right?
our kids need what adults need, the same things,
Yeah.
and even more of it. And
Yeah.
so, you know, when they come home, just give them space and transition and let
Sure.
them veg out and get them a snack and
Yep.
just let them be. And then when they're ready to talk, they'll come find you. And then really framing your questions in really open-ended ways. I think let them be like, what was one really interesting part of the day that you didn't expect?
Sure.
Or who'd you sit with at lunch?
Yep.
Or like just little samplings of opening the door to questions are
Sure.
really helpful.
Sure.
But really not jumping on them when they get inside
Sure.
is, I think, it's our nature. Just welcome them home, give them a big hug, and then give them 10 minutes to transition.
Right. You know, you mentioned lunch, sometimes the most important part of everyone's day. Last year, lunches and breakfast, I think, were free.
And they are
Does
again
that
now.
continue this year?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's very exciting. We doubled our lunch production when things became free. And
Interesting.
our lunch
Wow.
service, we had to hire additional staff because our lunch service really grew.
Okay.
So it was very, very popular. We'll maintain that again this year.
Okay.
And then we also do have breakfast programs. And again,
Yeah.
you know, they're growing, they're hungry. They'll eat at home and then they'll eat when they get to breakfast. We don't care. We're fine with that. Like,
Right.
eat at home and then eat when you get to school again.
Sure.
You know, it's
Sure.
there for you and you
Yeah.
can
Okay.
fold in. I think one of the other things that I always try to highlight about the start of the school year are two other things, which is the beauty of the family dinner. And we are all so busy, it's so difficult. And if your family is too busy to have dinner together, then even just doing a end of night 15-minute debrief where you all come together and maybe have a snack or just sit together and chill for a couple minutes and debrief on the day. But it is essential that you have that family time where kids are hearing you talk about your day and the challenges that you faced and the things that were great. That has, I mean, statistically, so much value in mental health wellness for students. It's amazing.
Yeah, sort of
And
a grounding moment.
It's a huge
No technology.
It's huge. No
Put 'em
technology.
in the basket.
Technology away. I think during COVID we found an interesting kind of byproduct was a lot of kids had taken to like eating in front of the TV, eating in their bedroom while they were on
Sure.
Zooms, and I think parents were also doing all their work from home, and some of those other routines
Yeah, everyone's
broke
sort of in
down.
their pockets.
Yeah,
Yep.
and they've started to come back, but so has kids' mental health with those routines.
Yeah.
So the partnership we share is so essential. I mean, family is the center of everything, and we fold into that with the part that's educational. But that whole emotional wellness window kind of swings back and forth.
Okay.
I think one of the other things I highlight is just bumps in the road. Like you're going to have, if you think to yourself, you're never happy 100% of the time. You're never feeling like everything flows the way you want all the time. And I think students are going to have those same ups and downs. They're going to have both academic experiences that will go up and down and emotional experiences that will go up and down. And I think we teach everyone to try to just, you know, ride those through with your child and just be reassuring that they usually do stabilize and that you're going to let them work it through and develop a strategy with them and give them a little time.
Sure.
And then let them know you're going to check in again.
Yeah.
Not the next day when they come off the bus, the minute they come off the bus.
Right,
though.
right.
You know, that
right.
balance is really
Yeah.
essential.
I think it's a balance between, you know, sort of as a parent, like how much do you sort of, you know, let them process it, and it's different, right? It's different little problems. Maybe, I mean, they're still relative,
Right.
but you know, as a child becomes kind of more sophisticated, so to speak, and they become more agile at being able to kind of manage through their work and their challenges. As a parent, I think, I don't know, tell me if I'm doing this right or wrong, but you kind of want to be there to listen and to maybe kind of be a sounding board for how they might want to solve the problem, but not try to solve it for them. Although there are probably times where, you know, certainly parents need to kind of intercede, but I think letting kids work through that and empowering them to kind of have a conversation with their teacher or with another student or with a guidance counselor is really kind of the more effective way, because at some point we can't be there for them.
You're doing it right then. I mean, you really are. It's a joint effort. You know, you can often decide to have a private email with a teacher and say, hey, I'm letting Grayson work this through, but I just wanted you to know this was hard. Keep an eye on her.
Yeah,
You know,
sure.
there is that shared partnership.
Sure.
And I do think that I loved how you said, like, we can just be curious and supportive and offer them a listening board. You know, I try to stay good at my own parenting as the kids have gotten older. I'm like, I say to them, am I listening or am I helping? Right? You know, because they're
that's a
two
good one.
different
Yes.
things,
Yeah,
right?
I love that.
You don't want a solution, you want a sounding board. And I think being curious myself, then just say, that's really interesting, unpack more, and I'll ask curious questions.
Yeah,
Because what they want is someone to help them process it. And little kids aren't really that different anyway.
Yeah.
And so I think all of us are always kind of after all of that.
Yeah.
But it is a really essential part of parenting, how you help them navigate all that emotionally.
But to your point about having that family time, am I listening or am I helping? Kind of what role do you need me in here? And giving them time and space, and that scheduling is really important.
And telling your stories. I think what's beautiful about dinner time or like movie time or
Yeah.
popcorn or whatever
Yeah.
or a walk around the block at
Sure.
the end of the
Yeah,
week, but
right.
end of the night before bed is just, they get to hear your stories
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
because you realize that,
Like when lockers were wooden.
yes, yeah. When you walked 10 miles to school and no one knew where you were and all that stuff. Like I used to bike without a helmet and all that stuff. But there is beauty in those stories, right?
sure,
And they also remind you, like, oh yeah, I survived that, right? They remind you yourself, like, oh yeah, I came through feeling inadequate. Like, oh yeah, I did feel inadequate in third grade.
Yeah.
I can remember that feeling.
Yeah.
And
I did
so
sit alone at lunch a couple
exactly,
times. Yeah, for sure.
you know, I
Yeah,
was mean
yeah.
to this kid and then
Yeah.
figured it out. Like
Yep.
all of those stories, you tell your stories and it reminds you your child's doing what you did, and it also reminds them that they're going to be okay.
Great.
So, you
Well,
know,
good. Well,
fun stuff ahead.
Well, thank you so much for being a guest on the
Yeah,
show.
this was fun.
And
So-
congratulations on launching your show. I look forward to watching that. And
Yes, thanks.
And again, it's going to be called what? The
It's going to Superintendent Spotlight.
Okay.
And the goal is to really bring curriculum in the classroom up close, things that
Excellent.
people always want to know more about.
Excellent.
So it should be fun.
Well, as a guest, you get the guest
Yay,
01581
thank you. I'm going to put it
stickers,
right on my computer. I love it. Thank
made
you.
by Gracie Hansen Marshall. So
I love it.
take
It's-
no credit.
She's going to be in marketing. She
Yeah,
is. She's
yeah.
going to be in communications and marketing in the future.
So,
thank you.
Anyway, so Amber, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of the 01581. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and be well.